Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
Shalom, shalom. Double grace and peace be always unto you. I trust that you had a wonderful evening and that you'll have a blessed day today. It is my prayer that everything will go well with you if it is the Lord's will. And it always has to be the Lord's will, because we may have plans, we may have things that we would like to do every day, but we are never guaranteed that we will be blessed with the opportunity to do these things. It is always according to God's will. The Bible tells us about two men who decided they're going to go off into a far city. Businessmen, they are business-minded individuals, and they decided that they're going to go into such a city, stay there a year, buy and sell and get gain. But the author wants us to understand and to remember that our lives, it is but a vapor that appears for a little time and vanishes away. We may have plans, but we are not certain that these plans will indeed be executed. So please keep this in mind. I want to welcome you to Inspirational Thoughts. Remember, Inspirational Thoughts, it is a program that is designed to convert thoughts into words with the intent to motivate and inspire each and every one of us to do better and to be better. And I believe if you are a child of God, if you are a kingdom disciple, then your desire and your goal should be to be better each and every day. But if we have the mentality to do better and to be better, there are three things that we need to take into consideration. One, it's going to require effort. You are not going to be better by just sitting down and doing nothing. If you desire to grow spiritually, you are not going to grow if you do not take time to study God's words. Right? The Bible tells us to study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Rightly dividing the word of truth, it's going to require effort. Number two, it is going to require that we associate ourselves with the right people. Your association is important. We need to be mindful of the people that we invite to speak into our lives. We need to be mindful of the people that we spend our time with, because these are the people that's influencing us. And that influence is what we are going to reproduce. So number one, we got to understand it requires effort. Number two, we have to associate ourselves with the right people, and number three, we have to feed ourselves with the right things. We are what we eat. That is a saying that I believe we're all familiar with. We are what we eat. We are also what we put into our minds. We cannot reproduce what we do not have in our minds, in our hearts. And therefore, we have to be selective with the things we watch, the things we read, the things we listen to. All of these things are important. And so this program is designed to inspire and motivate us, right? If you need that motivation, then this program may be for you. And I want to encourage you that if you know someone that needs a little bit of encouragement, then encourage them to tune in every morning, Tuesday to Friday from 8:15 to 8:45 a.m. This morning, we are going to continue looking at a very important subject entitled Indoctrination. This is part two, Indoctrination. And we are seeking to address three areas under this topic. We looked at number one, we looked at the definition of indoctrination. And we learned last time that having an understanding of what indoctrination is will help us Because if we do not know what is indoctrination, can we avoid it? No, we can't. So, therefore, having a knowledge or understanding as to what is indoctrination, then we are putting ourselves in a position where we can combat it, where we can stand up against it, where we can fight against indoctrination. Indoctrination, by way of recap, it highlights, and another word rather that I would like to use. I did not use that word yesterday. That we can use in exchange for indoctrination is brainwashing. Brainwashing. Yes, I said it. There are many individuals in our society today that has been brainwashed, and I speak of society, but we can also speak of the church. There are many people who are in church, they're going to church regularly, and they're not even aware that they have been brainwashed. They're not aware that they have been indoctrinated, right? And indoctrination or brainwashing is a slow, gradual process. And often it is a repeated process where individuals are taught certain things over and over again, and they're taught in a way that suppresses critical thinking. It causes an individual to think in an isolated way, and God has not made us like that. God has not made us like that. God has made us free moral agents whereby we are able to choose and make choices, right? And to be a free moral agent, then that means we are in a position to listen to all sides to a story and come to a conclusion on our own. However, when one is indoctrinated, that critical thinking is omitted. They cannot see anything else but what they have been taught, right? And today we are going to look at this a little closer, right? So we looked at what is indoctrination or brainwashing. Today we're gonna question: am I indoctrinated? Have I been brainwashed? And if I have been brainwashed, how can I tell if I have been brainwashed? We're also going to look at the effects of indoctrination or brainwashing. Yes, there are effects. And when one is brainwashed or when one is indoctrinated, it has an effect on that individual. So today we're going to look to address these two things, but we may not have sufficient time. I will tell you this early. We may not have sufficient time. And if we do not have sufficient time, of course, if we leave to see the next day, if the Lord's will, then we will definitely look at the third part. Now, I had originally outlined this in a particular way, but today I would like to talk about the effects this morning. I want to talk about that first. The effects of indoctrination or brainwashing. I'd really like to hear from you this morning. I would like for us to have a dialogue, talk about this. I want to hear from your perspective. What do you think are the effects of indoctrination? And I mean, whatever we do in life, there is an effect. Of course, an effect, it is said, right? Right? Have you ever gone to the beach side and took a nice flat stone and kind of sent it on the water at a nice angle? What is the effect of this? The effect is it will skip over the water. And if you're able to do it efficiently or very well, then you're going to have multiple skips and pop, 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 pop. And I could recall when I was a boy, we would go by the beach, and whenever we by the beach, as a matter of fact, we would challenge ourselves, and we would see who would have more, effects, So I believe we understand perfectly what is an effect, right? We could also look at the results, another word to use as opposed to effect. Results. What are the results? Or what are we going gain when we are indoctrinated or when we have been brainwashed, right? So I want to hear from you. Now, before we go any further, I would like for you to know this, that um, right now I'm streaming to multiple platforms. I'm streaming to LBW Radio, that's the online radio station. I'm streaming on YouTube, and to Facebook account. However, if you would like to speak to me directly, I would recommend that you visit our YouTube channel. Visit our YouTube channel. The link is in the description. And if you place a comment there, then I'm going to see that comment immediately. But if you are on my other sometime after, right? So please keep that in mind. If you'd like to dialogue with me directly, if you have a question, comment, I encourage all this. Please feel free to join us on YouTube, and there we will be able to have a better dialogue. And this morning I'm sweating a little more, although the AC is on in the room. I'm trying to get it to circulate in the entire house, but it is in the challenge, and that light above my head is pretty warm. But nonetheless, we are able to hopefully do something this morning, right? So before we don't jump into the effects, while I'm going to give you an opportunity to think about this, right? And type in the comment section what you believe are the effects of indoctrination. And now, while you're thinking, I want to share the thought for the day. The thought for the day. And this thought, it is in line with a way that I've been thinking for some time now. And you may find it strange, but I personally have have issues with our educational system. Our educational system. And I will share a little more about that with you. But let us read the quote first. Education is not merely neglected in many of our schools today, but is replaced to a great extent by ideological indoctrination. And I want to read this again. Education is not merely neglected in many of our schools today, but it is replaced to a great extent by ideological indoctrination, right? I am one. When I found this quote, I was like, wow, hey, this quote is right in sync with some of the ways that I've been thinking. Because when we, if we are honest, and when we pay a closer look at our educational system, if we pay a closer look at the religious systems that we have in the world, when we pay a closer attention to our society, we will realize that ideologies are being fed, and people are being taught in a specific way to control the way they think. And if you're able to control how someone thinks, then you are able to control the actions. So education is used in multiple forums to direct how people think and how they behave. That's the society that we are living in today. And that's happening in the home, it is happening in our community, and it is also happening in the church. It is also happening in the church. So as we look at the effects of indoctrination or brainwashing, as we look at that this morning, don't forget, put your comment. I should have given you enough time to put your comment in the comment section. So the process of imparting a specific set of beliefs or doctrine in a way that discourage critical thinking can be significant and varied effects on individuals and society. These effects can be both short term and long term, impacting a person's cognitive abilities, emotional well being, and social interactions. Now, I've said quite a few, quite a bit here, but let us take a little time and look at this a little closer. Remember, we're talking about indoctrination, we're talking about brainwashing. And we know that it is a process of imparting a specific set of beliefs or doctrine in a way that discourages critical thinking. So when we play a closer look at indoctrination or brainwashing, we can conclude that this is a process that discourages an individual to think for themselves. It discourages and suppresses critical thinking. And when we pay attention to the scriptures does encourage critical thinking. And last time or yesterday, we took a closer look at the Bereans. They were more noble, and they were more noble because they were willing to search the scriptures. They didn't just accept what they were being taught. No, one of the major effects of indoctrination or brainwashing is the cognitive effect. Now, what that means? We're talking about impaired critical thinking. So the more one becomes indoctrinated, their capacity to think for themselves, their capacity to reason, their capacity to look at things from different perspectives is suppressed. And when that ability is suppressed, it puts an individual in a position where they are unable to recognize truth from error. And we're living in a time, a day and age, where a lie will appear like a truth, and a truth will appear like a lie. That's the society we're living in, and that's not by accident. And the Bible speaks about that, That's not by accident. This is a result of brainwashing and indoctrination, because it suppresses and it takes away our ability to critically, to think critically. Indoctrination can hinder the development of crucial thinking skills, making an individual more susceptible to accepting information without questioning or evaluation. Now, I have to pause for a little while and say something on this. I have to pause for a little while and say something on this, right? Because this is important. It is important because what happens when one is indoctrinated? It takes away that development of critical thinking. For example, if you begin in why the word introduction is in my head now, indoctrinating a child. It's that brainwashing a child. By the time that child gets to 10 years, 15 years, a teenager, even an adult, the ability to look at things from different perspectives and different angles is omitted. They simply operate like robots, machines. They do as they're told. Let me tell you, that is why, I mean, I'm not against, some of these things that we have in this world. For example, work is important because we have to, provide for ourselves and for our families, right? However, when we look at the system more closely, we will realize that we are living in a brainwash system where we are educated to work in a specific environment. Why do you think we are compelled to go to school with uniforms? Why do you think so? We are being tailored. We are being trained to function in the system that we're living in. I'm one who believes that slavery has not been abolished. Slavery has just revamped. It's a new means of a method of slavery that we are in. We are told when to go to work, when we take a break, how long the break is, when we can leave, and we live so for many many years. And as a result, we find ourselves living in a society where many have lost that ability to think critically. It makes us more it puts us in a position where we are more susceptible, we are more willing to accept and just accept things without questioning, right? The effects, another effect of brainwashing or indoctrination is that it causes a closed mindset, right? It causes our minds to close, and that is the same thing I'm talking about. I'm just putting it. It just appears to be in different forms, but it's basically the same thing. Closed-mindedness. I can lead, or it can lead to a closed-minded perspective where individuals become resistant to considering alternative viewpoints or evidence that contradicts their indoctrinated beliefs. No, we have to take that seriously, because I have been speaking to a few individuals, and it appears that there are more information coming being presented when it relates to the scriptures, the Bible, right? A lot of information is out there. However, one may not even consider these alternatives simply because of how they were taught. It causes, indoctrination causes it closes our minds. It's like we're no longer free. We no longer see things from multiple perspectives. That is the way we know, and that is what we're going to do. I have, been on the fields and studying with people, going door knocking and trying to fulfill God's command. I've met individuals who have made statements to me that indicates that they have been indoctrinated. And I'm certain you have heard this. Many have told me this. I was born a Catholic and I will die a Catholic. Now, there are some people who will be bold enough to make these statements, right? But there are some people who are indoctrinated and they are not even aware and they can't make these statements. So here's the question. Can one be in the Church of Christ and be indoctrinated? Can one be in the Pentecostal Adventist and other church and be indoctrinated? What's your thought on this? Please put it in the comment section, right? Comment section. What are the effects of indoctrination? Rigid thinking. Indoctrination can result in a rigid and inflexible way of thinking, making it difficult to adopt a new solution or information. Now, when we look at the points that I'm sharing, then we can almost immediately equate it to how do I know, or how can I tell if I have been indoctrinated? Just flip this over. But let me tell you this. When one is indoctrinated, it reduces curiosity. What does that mean? As a child, when I was a child growing up, I was always inquisitive. I know, and I know you, who of you in the listening, you have been in that position as well, right? We're inquisitive. I could recall I got burnt quite a few times because I'm seeing my mom using the stove and lighting the fire, and I myself are going to try cracking the matches and do all of those things. By nature, we are curious individuals. By nature, we are always intrigued by the unknown. That is just how we have been created. And when we are indoctrinated, indoctrination takes away our curiosity. It takes away our curiosity. The focus on accepting specific doctrines can diminish intellectual curiosity and a desire to explore different ideas. It causes our minds to be closed and our eyes to be closed as well. Yes, we may be able to walk and see and move around, but metaphorically, or what is a better word to use? Somebody type it in the comment section. Type the word in the comment section. We are like walking dead. Because yes, we can see, We have eyes we can see, but yet still we are blinded by the reality of things. And as a result, when that our curiosity is taken away, guess what it does? It makes us, it puts us in a position like we become living dead or walking dead. Walking dead. But listen to this, folks. Indoctrination doesn't only affect and reduce intellectual curiosity, it also has emotional and psychological effects, anxiety and fear. Indoctrination can instill fear and anxiety related to a questioning or deviating, sorry, from the accepted belief. No, I think I said something there. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt that way? Anxiety and fear? Because you have been indoctrinated. Because you have been indoctrinated, right? You have been in a specific doctrine have been fed to you over and over and over and over again for years. You have been sitting in the church. For years, you have been in the school system. And you have been hearing the same thing. The social media and all of those things do also indoctrinate us. And when we hear things over and over and over again, it closes our mind, as I said, but it can cause fear. Because now if I'm part of an institution or an organization and there are beliefs and for some reason, I am exposed to certain truths. Let us try to make this simpler. I've been going to a specific church almost all my life. And and my study patterns has been guided by that specific church that I go to. And I've been taught various things or various beliefs that is endemic to that congregation or church that I'm going. Now, I start to read the Bible a little more. I start to read the Bible a little more. And I'm no longer reading it from a closed-minded perspective. I'm no longer doing that, right? I'm now reading the Bible in its entirety. And reading it, my understanding begins to illuminate. And I'm now seeing things that I have not seen before. I'm now understanding things that I did not understand before. And you did not understand these things and you did not see these things because you have been indoctrinated and you have been fed with a specific doctrine for years. And as a result, you believe that what you have been fed is factual and is true. While all along there are other information in the very same book that you're reading, but you have never been guided to those verses. You have never been taught it from that perspective. And now that you have information, it causes you to be anxious. And fear develops within you because now with information you're afraid to speak because you might be persecuted. You're afraid to speak because you might be what is the word, not vindicated. What is the word for some reason the word is not coming. The word is not coming, right? But fear develops. And when the fear develops, the anxiety develops. We are now afraid to speak and to express what we have learned. And let me tell you this, there should be no fear when it comes to religion, when it comes to church. We should be in a position where we can come and sit down and study. So if I have a different understanding of what the scripture says, that is my understanding, that's what I gather from it. You may gather something else. Can we meet and discourse without any fear of judgment or persecution? I could recall a few years ago, I was reading a particular text that I've read for many years. And one day I started reading the text a little closer, and certain things just jumped out at me. Literally jumped out at me, and I was like, wow, was this there all along? And why haven't I seen this? And I started questioning myself. I started to doubt. And then fear came upon me. My heart began to race a little bit. And I started feeling a little uncomfortable because I was never taught this. And I've never seen this before. And this appears to have been, it has been there for a while, a long time. And I did not see it. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to call a senior preacher in the church to help me, and I called with the intent, with the idea that, yeah, we're just going to have a talk, and I wouldn't be judged, you know and I called the brother and I told him, brother, I'm reading the verse there and I'm having difficulty understanding it in its extent, because the thoughts that I have been taught regarding this verse, it appears that this verse is saying something different. I need your perspective on it. And I shared my understanding of the text, and let me tell you this. I was told that I need to be careful of how deep I go into the scriptures. I need to be careful. I got no assistance, no help. And the brother didn't even take the time to look at the text with me, and let's try to understand it from different perspective. He just shut me down just like that. Just shut me down. And up to this day, I have not called the brother in reference to anything again, because I realized that his mind is closed, and I was being judged. I was being judged. And the way I was spoke to, it almost felt like in that brother's mind, he disfellowshipped me. I'm no longer part and parcel of his belief system. So it's like I challenged his belief. And I wasn't challenging his belief. I was just questioning certain things that I'm seeing, and because of certain things that I've been taught, this left me feeling a little uneasy, and I need some clarity. I just needed someone to talk to, and to help discuss the Bible, and come to a clearer understanding. But his brother mind was closed, and he judged me. And when one is indoctrinated or brainwashed, it puts them in a position where they are afraid to speak. They are afraid to express what they understand, because they fear that they will be judged. They fear that they will be disfellowshipped. They fear that they will be looked down upon. Folks, that is the kind of society we live in. And that kind of thinking is in the church. And that is why I'm one who seeks to encourage individuals. Don't just accept what you have been taught or told. Search the scriptures for yourself to see whether what you are being taught is in the word of God. Because at the end of the day, you have to give an account for yourself. You can never say at judgment that my pastor was the one who taught me this. My pastor was the one who taught me this. We are going to be without excuse. We are going to be without excuse. Folks, let me tell you this. Indoctrination, brainwashing, has a serious negative effect on us, especially when it relates to our spiritual well-being. It is able to cause fear in the individual's heart, an individual's mind. It also causes emotional dependency. Individual may become emotionally dependent on the group or ideology that has indoctrinated them, leading to fear of isolation or abandonment if they were to leave. Religious trauma. Indoctrination can cause religious trauma. In the context of religious indoctrination, individuals may experience religious trauma, which can include a range of physical and social difficulties after leaving the church. Folks, let me tell you something that is real. That is real. That is real. No, there are also social effects when it comes to indoctrination. And folks, it is 8:52. It is 8:52. I have to conclude. I have to conclude this morning. And the heat seems to be overwhelming this morning by that AC is like not working. The AC is in the room, so I had to open the doors for the AC to come out. And it seems like it doesn't want to come out this morning, boy. What, boy? So, yes, the social effects. So, what I'm going to do, because it is 8:52, I'm over my time already. Tomorrow morning, we will definitely continue. We will look at some of the social effects, long term and short term. We'll do that, and we'll try to do it quickly so that we can look at the question: how can I tell if I have been indoctrinated? Because it is important, folks, that we have a knowledge. We know if we have been indoctrinated. So I have to go this morning. It's 8:53. But before I go, let me just read a few comments there quickly. As long as you are in any of those churches, you are 100% indoctrinated. 100% indoctrinated. My brother, you have seen the light, the Most High have activated. Your angel came back to your nationality. Come home to Israel. Come home to Israel. Tell me the text. I would like to see that text. The text for what? I can't recall. I'm not sure what I said. I said so much. But let me know. Send it in the comment section, and I will definitely take a closer look at it and share that text with you. But I do have to go. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate you staying with me throughout the time. And as I always said, I know it's not easy to sit or to listen to a program for 30 plus minutes. And you all stay with me right through, and I really do appreciate that. Brother Ben, we have to talk. We have to talk. But I've been busy. I was in DA for almost 2 weeks, and I didn't get to see you. I was busy. I was really busy, and I still didn't accomplish all of the things that I went to accomplish. But nonetheless, we are talking about indoctrination, and we have looked at what is indoctrination, and today we took a closer look at the effects of indoctrination, folks. I have to go, but what I would like for you to do, put your thoughts in the comment section. Let us have a after discussion, right? I want to know from you, what are the effects? What do you believe are the effects of indoctrination, right? I want you to put this in the comment section. And if you're viewing this at a later date, you can still put your comments or your thoughts, and I will respond to it. I want to say good morning to Brother Ben and those who are on. I'm not too sure how many of you are on. I know that I have a total number of people on, but I do not know who you are exactly. I know Marvin Rope, Philip. What's up? What's up? I know he is usually tuned in before he goes to work. Vince Joseph. I know that you're usually on. Kel George, yo brother, what's up? What's up? I'm glad that you're on. I believe probably Sister Nina might be on as well. And for you got to let me know. Those of you who are on, let me know. Just send a message. Let me know so I can give you a shout out. I have a clear idea as to who are the ones that are tuned in right now. So before I go, let me just share the quote for the day, quote of the day with you again. Education is not merely neglected in many of our schools today, but it is replaced to a great extent by ideological indoctrination. I am Dexter Honore, and you have been viewing and listening to Inspirational Thoughts. Ayo, and if the Lord's will, we will do this tomorrow morning, Lord willing.
Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave